Clubs, a phenomenon that has grabbed India over the last few years. It's turning strangers into supper companions. And we're going to be serving these supper clubs up to you today with three pioneering chefs, how they decided to take their passion and build it into a full-time. Some who had culinary experience, some who didn't. How do their stories come together? We tell you right here. And then after that, we take you on a musical journey. Indeed, it's quite a fun episode today on The Breakfast Club. We have Dhruv Ghanekar joining us. He's on a creative high right now. He talks to us about the music he has coming out, his new pop project, and the music behind Anurag Kashyap's Nishanchi and how he created it. And this week's entertainment headlines, the entertainment lowdown of the week. It's a Friday, which means Shosha Status brings you everything there is to do. All right, first up, as we promised, we take you to the story around supper clubs. We tell you a little bit about how India, in the last few years, is seeing a rise in this phenomenon. First up, though, what is this word that I keep saying, a supper club? A supper club is essentially where one person decides that they're going to curate and create a menu together. Once they create this menu, they offer this menu up to people who come for a dining experience. Now, each of these people have typically paid to be a part of this experience. The experience typically takes place in the chef's own house. So, for example, you or I could decide that I want to create a dinner for guests that I don't know. It has to be strangers. They pay to come and sit down on the same table. I curate a menu for them. And this concept is called a supper club. Now, supper clubs have been taking place in other parts of the world for years. But in India in specific, this is a relatively new phenomenon. And it's one that's been drawing people who are experienced chefs and newbies to create together. Now, today on the show, we thought we'd bring in three people who've had three separate journeys in cooking, three separate journeys in bringing dinners together. And what we have that's special today is that these chefs come from Mumbai, Delhi, and Bangalore. We wanted to ask them a little bit about their process. But why are we doing this on The Breakfast Club? Well, we often focus on people who've centered their passions and made their passions into their full time. This, we thought, was the perfect way to do that. We also wanted to ask a little bit about what they thought about the changing food scene. Let's go over to each of our chefs. First, starting right here in Delhi, we have Kartikeya Sinha. He's with us. Let's go over to him to understand a little bit more. He has built Kartik's Kitchen. Kartik, it's so lovely to have you here. Let's just come over to you first to ask you a little bit about your entire story, because you, if it's fair for me to say, you had first been at culinary school in the US and then you had flirted with the food industry for years before taking this dive. So tell us a little bit about that.
Hi, Toya. Great to be here. So, I went to culinary school in the US. You know, it was after doing other things, as many people who get into this business, they don't start off in it. They're doing something else, and then they discover or realize their passion, get into that. And then I was in Indonesia, working in a food company, not exactly cooking that much, but yeah, eventually, I came back to India. I worked at the Bombay Canteen, which is known for focusing on regional Indian cuisines, which is a passion of mine, and the reason I went there. And then eventually, I came back to Delhi, home to Delhi, and over time, I thought, the supper clubs is a great idea, something new to bring to people and to bring people together. So that's how I got started.
So you make regional Indian cuisines, and you have a social media following where I actually have been seeing your work for a few months now. And what's been a little confusing, honestly, is how you bring guests these very, very unique dishes from each cuisine. It's not the dishes that are often highlighted. So, for example, in Thai cuisine, or even recently you had Kashmiri cuisine highlighted, but the dishes you were highlighting in there, those were some more nuanced ones. And I just want to understand, what's your process there? Is it don't mind me saying this, how do you become almost a king in each cuisine? Or is it a jack in all, king in none situation? How would you describe yourself?
Well, I mean, I don't like to praise myself too much. I don't feel very comfortable with that. But it's all about, I guess, practice and trying out multiple times. That's how you make anything, do anything well. Really, you have to keep at it. And I've been cooking for very long. Even when I wasn't doing it professionally, I was still cooking. So, and then as you hone techniques, then eventually you get to a point where you can kind of, no, I wouldn't say cook every cuisine and be a master at it right away, but yeah, you can figure it out along the way. And as for all these, nuanced takes, what I would say is that these, your standard dishes you can get anywhere. Why would I just make what everybody else is doing that anybody can get? You should bring something different, something new to the table, and yeah, that's why I do it.
Okay, I have to ask you, tell our audience about a time where things have gone wrong, because so much of putting together supper clubs is the organizational aspect of it all, right? You have a dinner coming forward, you have to order very specific ingredients, and then you have to prepare food so that it's all ready at one time, but the preparation for each dish can be very different, which also means then that there's a lot of space for, no offense, but damage happening, disaster happening last minute. What are situations that have happened to you and how have you sort of come back from them?
Sure, yeah. Okay, once what happened was, so I was making a kheer, a firni, and it was supposed to be with suji, and which is semolina, right? By mistake, I added dalia. So, the texture, everything is very different. So, yeah. Then you had to, by the time I realized it was too late, right? So I just had to roll with it. And then, the taste was fine. It was just very different from what it should have been. And yeah, I was just honest with my guests that, I screwed up.
Okay.
It's tasty. If you don't like it, it's okay. But yeah, please do try. And thankfully, they're very kind and they did like it. So it worked out, thankfully.
Okay, so lastly, what we're going to have joining us here in a few minutes is different people with different experiences. And in your case, you have worked extensively in the industry too. You've worked at establishments like Bombay Canteen, which are so beloved in the food space across the country. Now, as someone who brings experience, because part of what we want to do in today's show is give people experience, ideas about starting their own space. How much did all of that experience inform how you did this?
Well, I would say in terms of cooking, yes, but in terms of organizing and hosting the supper clubs, I would say your industry, if you work in the industry, is not as relevant as such. There may be some things, depending on what part of the restaurant or hotel you're in, you might be able to learn some things, pick up some things that you can use. But if you just starting out, I know people with no background in the industry who do very well in this. So that's not really an impediment as such.
Okay, very good advice from you. Thank you. We're going to ask you to stay with us because we're going to come back to all of our chefs together sitting in one panel. We'll have all of you give us answers. Let's go over right now very quickly to Aditya. Aditya joins us right now from Mala Kitchen and we'll go over to him to understand a little bit more. Aditya, you're joining us from Bangalore. I just want to tell our audiences, Kartikeya earlier joining us from Delhi. Now we're coming down to Bangalore to understand your story. So you've got a very interesting story, which frankly, Aditya, any Indian parent who hears your story that you were at Stanford, then you were at McKinsey, you were at a bunch of other very, frankly, prestigious sounding institutions in India. And then you decided, nah, this is not what I want to do. I want to do something very different, inspired by love, if I may say. Tell us your story. Tell us how you made each of those decisions.
Look, Mala Kitchen is the supper club that I run. Mala is composed of two Chinese words. Ma means numbing. It's because of the use of Sichuan peppercorn, a very important ingredient in Sichuan cuisine that gives a numbing, buzzing sensation on your tongue. And La is spicy because of chili in various forms. And this is a flavor profile in Sichuan cuisine.
Right.
My wife, Dongli, she comes from Chengdu, which is the capital of the Sichuan province in China. And for 3.5 years through COVID, she wasn't able to go back because of all the travel restrictions. There was a big absence of Sichuan food over here. even though you find dishes like mapo tofu and kung pao chicken, which are traditionally Sichuan dishes. And you also have the Indo-Chinese variety of, Szechuan sauce, Szechuan chutney, triple Szechuan fried rice, and these things. But to my wife, this is completely foreign. In Bangalore, you had some good options for Korean and Japanese food, authentic, non-Indianized, which a lot of the Korean and Japanese expats used to like going to. But for Chinese food, we couldn't say the same thing. We couldn't find authentic Chinese food or authentic Sichuan food. And, so I developed a passion for cooking Sichuan cuisine, and also for learning more about Sichuan and Chinese culture because of my wife. And I come from a corporate background, so I did my undergrad in computer science from Stanford. I worked with McKinsey doing management consulting, Sequoia Capital doing venture capital, and then I was with Amazon helping them launch new initiatives in healthcare. But somewhere that corporate routine wasn't giving me a lot of meaning and satisfaction. I wanted to do something in a space that I'm more passionate about, which had to do with food and culture. And so I decided to sort of make that transition. And, I started by launching supper clubs, because instead of launching a restaurant, which is a really complex process. It involves a lot of capital, a lot of regulations, a lot of operational complexity because of the manpower and stuff involved. A supper club was really easy. All I had to do was, invite two people home, put together a menu, and try to sort of, execute it well. And through that process, I learned a lot. So in the beginning, in the early days, I would invite experts, restaurateurs or chefs from places I would like going to. Because in my corporate career, I learned that, as a generalist, when you're dropped into a new field to build expertise in that field, the best way to do it is to talk to experts, ask them the right questions, and sort of learn through that, right? So same way, I was new into the food space. I had a passion for cooking and for sort of recreating these authentic Sichuan dishes. And so I would invite these experts home. I would cook for them in the early days, and then slowly would start charging people for it. And pretty much from the beginning, we had a lot of people showing interest in this concept, in our food, and in wanting to come and experience it. So within 3-4 months of starting, we got picked up by Condé Nast. They sort of discovered us. They wanted to come and experience this, and they paid full price to do that. A lot of restaurants, they dream about getting featured in Condé Nast. They often spend a lot of money to get featured in Condé Nast, versus this little thing that I started out of my passion, within a few months had already gotten featured, which I felt was a huge vote of confidence, and sort of gave me the confidence to make that transition from the corporate space into sort of pursuing this full time and just seeing where it goes. So that's
Aditya,
kind of how it started.
Walk us also through one thing that's a very fundamental part of what you put together, which is honoring the culture, right? You've built in all of these other experiences. You talk about the history, there's music playing in the background that's carefully chosen. Can you walk us through how you thought through that? How you thought about walking the line there? Just tell us more.
Yeah, so like I said, for me I was really interested in the food, but I'd also discovered through my own travels there and research so much about the music, about the art, about the literature, and all of these fantastic stories that are actually really similar to kind of stuff that we've grown up listening to or hearing about in India, right? And I felt like sharing some of these stories is a really good way to make this a more holistic sort of experience. In India right now, this style of dining, a supper club style of dining, didn't really exist for the longest time. It's relatively new and it's gaining a lot of popularity. Most tasting menus when you go to a restaurant, it'll be centered around the cuisine specifically. So the chef may come out, he may introduce dishes, he may talk to you about the stories and the flavors behind those dishes. What we try to do at Mala Kitchen, we combine that tasting menu that's focused on authentic Sichuan cuisine and the stories and flavor profiles behind these dishes, but we combine that with cultural storytelling. That includes a tea ceremony, it includes traditional art and artifacts. You can see some of them behind me, like the lacquerware and stuff. And it also includes literature. So, we have a lot of things and stories that we talk about that culturally people learn a lot about that they weren't aware of earlier. Gives them a much better understanding of the place. And then when it comes to a community angle as well, we introduce that community aspect by making guests sit together on a sort of long 12-seater dining table and share conversations with each other, talk about the food, talk about the stories that they've heard. And so, people who arrive as strangers, they end up leaving as friends. And this is a truly unique experience that people today are seeking out much more than they did 3 years ago when we started, right? We also have a lot of repeat guests today, which is sort of evidence that this is not just a one-off kind of
Phenomenon.
novelty experience, but it's something that is here to stay and that people will keep sort of coming back to.
Okay, Aditya, we're going to ask you to stay with us. Let's go over right now to the last chef we have joining us. Stay with us. We'll come back to you. Shruti Chadha joins us. And Shruti is joining us from Zavi. It's a Korean kitchen that she built. It was her baby and she grew it out of Mumbai. Let's go over to her to understand. Shruti, good morning. Lovely to have you with us here on the show.
Hi, Toya. Good morning.
Shruti, tell us a little bit about your story first. What inspired you to start Zavi? Are you from a culinary background? Are you not?
Yes, I am. I've done my hotel management from Manipal, Welcome Group of Hotel Management, and always been into cooking since I was a child. Got major inspiration from my grandmom, who I think is the best cook in the world till date, and loved the flavors, loved her creativity, and my sense of hosting and my sense of intimate gathering also comes from her, because on Sundays we'd meet as a family. And she'd cook us this large meal, and then we hang out and then go our own way. So I've done my hotel management. I worked in a couple of hotels and I worked in some kitchens, and then I realized this is not for me, and that's how I started my supper clubs.
Okay, so then tell us a little bit about the Korean aspect of these supper clubs. So what I mean is the cuisine that you have decided to focus on. Why Korean? What's the story there? And also tell us, when you're creating these recipes, you're striving for authenticity, but that ingredient hurdle, procuring ingredients, procuring the right quality of ingredients, I'm sure a lot of this isn't available fresh here. How do you get over that bump?
So, the beauty, I'm going to answer the latter question. Because the beauty about it is that Korean food is also about fresh ingredients, right? It's a cold country. They don't get fresh vegetables throughout the year. So there's a lot of fermentation, there's a lot of pickling. We are lucky because we get a lot of fresh vegetables here. So I incorporate those fresh veggies into the Korean flavors, right? And in terms of the main Korean ingredients, which is the essence of the cuisine, you get them readily now. It's growing and exponentially. Like when I started 5 years ago, I could only get it from two particular vendors. Now I have vendors across the country. So if I don't get it from one vendor, I'm like, okay, fine, I'll call this vendor. So thankfully, because of the window to Korea, it is exponentially grown, right? And even Bombay is not very, as Adi said, right? Bangalore is big on Korean food, and so is Chennai and Hyderabad, like those states, because there's a lot of Korean population there. As of now, Bombay doesn't have Koreans, like too many Koreans, and hence we don't have too much demand for Korean food here. In the sense, restaurants. That's why there are no restaurants. Hence,
which is why you fulfill a very, Yeah,
so that is when I moved to Bombay. I started my journey in Goa. Like my husband and I were living in Goa, and I was working as a general manager at Coco Shambhala. Like I said, I'd done a couple of gigs, and I realized restaurants and hotels are not for me. I didn't know what to do. So I started working in a luxury resort back in Goa, which was called Coco Shambhala. And I would still host friends. I would still call my loved ones home. I'd still cook for them. I still love that. So eventually I started my journey with actually fermenting kimchi. I've been making kimchi since 2019. And then I kind of dwelled further into the cuisine. And eventually I started my supper clubs and deliveries in Goa. Then when I moved to Bombay, I didn't want to open a cloud kitchen or a restaurant, because I'm more a people's person, right? And I think, like I said, my inspiration comes from Sunday lunches. So this hosting people at home, just telling them the story about the food, where it comes from, why you're eating this, when did they eat it, because there are 4 distinct seasons in Korea, right? So each season has a particular kind of food. So you'll have cold noodles in summer, you'll have kalguksu in winters. So there's so many aspects to it, which is what I think now people are also looking forward to. They like
Oh, wow.
storytelling because people are so well traveled now, right? They want to know about the food. They want to know about where it's coming from or why you've made this.
Right.
I think that's what kind of adds to the various nuances of a supper club.
Okay, so what I want to do now, Shruti, I want you to stay on. Aditya, Kartikeya, we'll ask them all to come back. And let's come over to all of them with a single question. I want to ask you, and it's the same question for all three of you. I want to understand if someone watching the show today is a keen chef of their own, may or may not have experience, because we have a very mixed group over here. Some bring culinary experience, some don't. What would you say are the questions they need to ask themselves before they go ahead and start their own supper club, or before they decide if they are the right candidate to host a supper club? Kartikeya, coming to you first.
I think the biggest thing would be like how willing are you to put in some effort into this, because it's not an easy thing to do, both mentally and physically. It takes a lot of effort to cook, and also you'll be inviting strangers to come to your house, so you have to think about those things before you then maybe take the next steps. I would say that's the initial. You should think about all these aspects of what goes into hosting a supper club.
Okay, Aditya, I'm sure you'd agree, but what else would you add to that?
No, I totally agree with Kartikeya. I think a lot of people maybe underestimate the effort that's involved, or they sort of overestimate the glamour of it and don't see sort of how many hours of prep go into it and how stressful it is to sort of procure things, and also the pressure of making sure nothing goes wrong and the service is super smooth. My advice for them though is to first ask themselves, like, why are they starting it, right? Like, you have to have a really good reason for why you're starting it. A lot of people just think, oh, it's a trendy thing to do, so why not? I'll even hire some cook or some guy to cook something, and I'll just organize it that way. But you have to have really real deep sort of passion, will, and commitment to make it happen. And you also have to sort of show consistency. You have to do it, at a consistent sort of frequency, and keep trying to increase that as well, to make it something that people feel like is accessible and is worth trying out, and so that word of mouth also goes around, because you need to hit a sort of critical mass of number of people that you feed and who are sort of aware of you, who can help then spread that sort of word of mouth for you, right? Also, I would tell them, you should look at what are the need gaps that exist, like if certain cuisines are underrepresented or not available in your city. Like Shruti said, there was no Korean restaurants, not many at least in Bombay, compared to a place like Bangalore, and it served as a good niche to sort of fill, right? Like a supper club for benne dosa in Bangalore won't necessarily work because you have so many options for that everywhere. And like other advice is, maybe use social media, use Instagram, use WhatsApp, take photos, post it over there. And also think about the financial viability of it. Like you don't want to do something if you can't sustain it, right? And so it has to make financial sense as well. So yeah.
So let me come over then, Shruti, to ask you a different question, because I feel like between Kartikeya and Aditya, we've covered broadly what anyone should have in their head if they're deciding to do one of these things. But Shruti, I want to ask you, when you look at the transition of the food scene in India in the last few years, from just having a few options 2 decades ago to then having multiple options in restaurants to today what we're looking at, supper clubs, how do you see the future of going out, meeting new people and eating together?
I think meeting new people, supper clubs, I think we've already discussed that. I think it's a great space. I have a lot of solo eaters who come and they're like, okay, we want to meet new people. And so other than, like I said, storytelling and meeting new people, I don't think supper clubs are going anywhere. I feel like they're here to stay because people want slightly smaller gatherings. Sometimes you have a full table booked by one party, right? They're all private supper clubs. They just want to have a good time without really loud music playing or waiters coming in and saying, otherwise other people making noise. So I think if your product is good and if the quality is good, you're here to stay and people will find you. And I think it's important, like Adi said, like why you're doing it is one thing. Secondly is, I feel like if you can cook, right, A lot of people aspire to cook, but if you can cook and you've got the flavors, if you keep practicing, there's a lot of prep work, which also translates into a lot of work, right? So if you're, like I said, if the quality is good, if the product is good, people will come, and then you're just here to stay.
I love that. Okay, Shruti, Aditya and Kartikeya, thank you for joining us here on the show. To our audience, Mala Kitchen in Bangalore, you've got Kartikeya's Kitchen in Delhi, and you've of course got Zavi in Mumbai. All three do visit. Thank you for joining us here on the show.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for shedding a light
Thank
on
you.
this. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's head in very quickly into a break, and on the other side we are shifting focus. So we hope we made you a little hungry. Now we're taking you on a musical journey. Dhruv Ghanekar joins us on the other side. He tells us a little bit about what it's taken to create his sound, his new pop projects. He's the music behind Anurag Kashyap's Nishanchi, and he tells us about what it takes to create a sound.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
BJP's Prahlad Joshi, the Union Minister, has taken a jibe at the leader of the opposition, says Rahul Gandhi's new fairy tale is vote chori. After his failed attempt on his vote chori allegations, which was debunked and exposed, Rahul Gandhi has now chosen to not learn from earlier mistakes. The Election Commission of India has clearly denied his baseless claims, reaffirming that no votes can be deleted online after losing 20 plus elections on EVMs. Maybe it's not the machine, it's the Congress that's faulty. Strong words coming in from Prahlad Joshi, Union Minister. I'm joined by my colleague Payal Mehta on the broadcast to get more details, given the fact that the war of words only escalating after Rahul Gandhi's second presentation. Payal, over to you.
Ayushman, a very important point being made by Union Minister Prahlad Joshi, who is incidentally also from Karnataka. He hails from Dharwad. He is incidentally reminding Rahul Gandhi that 2 days back, when the Congress, which had won the assembly seat in Malur in Karnataka, was disqualified by the High Court of Karnataka because of election malpractice and fresh counting of votes that has also been ordered. The real vote chore is the Congress party. That's the strong attack coming in. As far as Prahlad Joshi is concerned, remember, Prahlad Joshi is saying that Rahul Gandhi has not learnt a single lesson after having lost 20 plus elections, blaming it either on the EVMs or on anybody else. It is the Congress which is faulty and not anybody else. So stinging attack coming in from Prahlad Joshi, a union minister in the Modi government, a multiple time MP from Karnataka, and somebody who's been Karnataka's voice for a very, very long time. So he's saying that Rahul Gandhi has yet again attention chori, and that's the reason he has not learned from his previous mistakes.
Right. Thank you, Payal, for getting us that piece of breaking news. So the war of words only escalating between the two sides after Rahul Gandhi's strong allegations of vote chori by the Election Commission. BJP's Prahlad Joshi, the Union Minister, has taken a jibe at the leader of the opposition, says Rahul Gandhi's new fairy tale is vote chori. After his failed attempt on his vote chori allegations, which was debunked and exposed, Rahul Gandhi has now chosen to not learn from earlier mistakes. The Election Commission of India has clearly denied his baseless claims, reaffirming that no votes can be deleted online after losing 20 plus elections on EVMs. Maybe it's not the machine, it's the Congress that's faulty. Strong words coming in from Prahlad Joshi, Union Minister. I'm joined by my colleague Payal Mehta on the broadcast to get more details, given the fact that the war of words only escalating after Rahul Gandhi's second presentation. Payal, over to you.
Ayushman, a very important point being made by Union Minister Prahlad Joshi, who is incidentally also from Karnataka. He hails from Dharwad. He is incidentally reminding Rahul Gandhi that 2 days back, when the Congress, which had won the assembly seat in Malur in Karnataka, was disqualified by the High Court of Karnataka because of election malpractice and fresh counting of votes that has also been ordered. The real vote chore is the Congress party. That's the strong attack coming in. As far as Prahlad Joshi is concerned, remember, Prahlad Joshi is saying that Rahul Gandhi has not learnt a single lesson after having lost 20 plus elections, blaming it either on the EVMs or on anybody else. It is the Congress which is faulty and not anybody else. So stinging attack coming in from Prahlad Joshi, a union minister in the Modi government, a multiple-time MP from Karnataka and somebody who's been Karnataka's voice for a very, very long time. So he's saying that Rahul Gandhi has yet again attention chori, and that's the reason he has not learned from his previous mistakes.
Right. Thank you, Payal, for getting us that piece of breaking news. So the war was only escalating between the two sides after Rahul Gandhi's strong allegations of vote chori by the Election Commission. BJP's Prahlad Joshi, the Union Minister, has taken a jibe at the leader of the opposition, says Rahul Gandhi's new fairy tale is vote chori. After his failed attempt on his vote chori allegations, which was debunked and exposed, Rahul Gandhi has now chosen to not learn from earlier mistakes. The Election Commission of India has clearly denied his baseless claims, reaffirming that no votes can be deleted online after losing 20+ elections on EVMs. Maybe it's not the machine, it's the Congress that's faulty. Strong words coming in from Prahlad Joshi, Union Minister. I'm joined by my colleague Payal Mehta on the broadcast to get more details, given the fact that the war of words only escalating after Rahul Gandhi's second presentation. Payal, over to you.
Ayushman, a very important point being made by Union Minister Prahlad Joshi, who is incidentally also from Karnataka. He hails from Dharwad. He is incidentally reminding Rahul Gandhi that 2 days back when the Congress, which had won the assembly seat in Malur in Karnataka, was disqualified by the High Court of Karnataka because of election malpractice and fresh counting of votes that has also been ordered. The real vote chore is the Congress party. That's the strong attack coming in. As far as Prahlad Joshi is concerned, remember, Prahlad Joshi is saying that Rahul Gandhi has not learnt a single lesson after having lost 20+ elections, blaming it either on the EVMs or on anybody else. It is the Congress which is faulty and not anybody else. So stinging attack coming in from Prahlad Joshi, a union minister in the Modi government, a multiple-time MP from Karnataka and somebody who's been Karnataka's voice for a very, very long time. So he's saying that Rahul Gandhi has yet again attention chori, and that's the reason he has not learned from his previous mistakes.
Right. Thank you, Payal, for getting us that piece of breaking news. So the war was only escalating between the two sides after Rahul Gandhi's...
All right, welcome back to the Breakfast Club. And this Friday, as we herald in the weekend, we have someone who we hope will put you in an incredible frame of mind with his music. Dhruv Ghanekar joins us on the show. He's a composer, he's a producer, and he's a guitarist. He spent over 2 decades moving across film, indie space in music, and of course, advertising. He is the co-founder of Blue Frog. He has scored cult films. He has global campaigns. He's released 7 albums and he's played across festivals worldwide. Right now, he's on a creative high with Hazraton Ke Bazaar from Tehran, striking a chord. And what we're also looking forward to and what we've seen in the past is his Nishanchi soundtrack with Anurag Kashyap, drawing praise for its raw and bold sound. But right now, why we have him on the show is to discuss his new pop project that is about to drop. He's showing no signs of slowing down. Let's just go over to him to understand a little bit more about his entire musical journey, what it was like to collaborate with musical greats like Ilarun, who you can see on your screens. Let's just go over to him to ask him more. Dhruv, good morning. Lovely to have you here on the show with us. Let's just start off by asking you a bit of an oddball question, and then we'll go deeper into your musical journey. You have been a nominee for a national award. What's the story there? And at a very young age, I believe you were a child. What's the story there?
Yeah, hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone. The national award story is actually something that happened when I was very, very young. And I used to be a child actor and acted in lots of movies, many notable ones with actually Shyam Benegal. And this was a movie called Susman with Shabana Azmi and Om Puri. And I was probably like 13 or something. And yeah, so I was basically nominated for that work. But it was a long time ago.
Our audience will be wondering why we have a musical, prodigy genius like you on the show, and we're asking you about acting. But we'll go into your musical journey now. Tell us, I think you said in one of your interviews that when you got your guitar, that's when everything changed. What's the story of how you got your guitar, how you discovered your own musical flair? And tell us a little bit about those early musical years. So when you went to Berklee College of Music, discovered your own sound. Tell us about that part.
So, I mean, my journey in music actually started way before that. when I was in my maybe like 8 or 9 years old, and you know, as it always happens, there's music around most Indian households, and I started off as a singer actually. So I used to study classical music and Indian classical music, and when I hit puberty, my voice broke, and then I started looking for something to do in music. And you know, there was I went to a friend's house and there was a guitar lying around, and I just quickly became obsessed with it. And I come from a family of actually really creative people. My father was a filmmaker, my uncles, my aunts, all filmmakers. My mother was very supportive of, you know, the arts in the family, and they saw me like basically spending hours in the bedroom all by myself, practicing, you know, and my guitar. And my father just said, "Fine, you know, just take a stab at it, and I'll give you a year to figure out, you know, what you're going to do with this." And basically, I was off to the races. After that, I never looked back.
Talk to us a little bit about discovering what your sound would mean, though, for you, and what that process actually looks like, because you take instruments from around the world and combine them. And what's interesting is that some of your tracks, there's straight up belting that for me at least was very reminiscent of like a Western rock song. You know, the kind of belting I associate to a rock song. So just tell me a little bit about how you decided this is what Dhruv's sound looks like and sounds like.
Honestly, you know, I've spent most of my adult life actually composing and producing music for feature films,
right,
advertising, and, you know, commercial projects. And with commercial projects, you actually, like for me, I see myself as being a chameleon. You become a mirror to the project. So, you know, your own sound and your own tastes have to be there, but they are slightly more subtle and more invisible. So you take on the form of the project, and the director's tastes and influences also influence largely what you're going to do for the project. But I think I've always had an interest in music from all over the world, you know, and also Indian music by itself is so rich and so diverse. You know, I was very curious, you know, to listen to different forms of music, though I did go through a phase in my college days when I was a rock snob, and then I became a jazz snob when I was studying music in college. But you know, with like all things in India, basically you land up in this crazy, you know, schizophrenic world where there are so many different sounds. And I think for me, a large part of it is also my training in doing a lot of advertising work, which really was a training ground to, you know, dabble in different kinds of music. So I owe a lot to my film work, my advertising work, and where I am today is largely because I've had so many opportunities to do different kinds of music for different types of projects and work with such incredible, you know, creative people. So I owe a lot to all the directors that I've worked with.
Walk us through exactly that. So walk us through what the process of collaboration looks like with someone, for example, like Anurag Kashyap. How much is the director telling you at that point about what they want? Yeah. And what does that jugalbandi between you and him typically look like?
So actually, in the case of Anurag, he is an incredibly collaborative person, but very invisible. He actually gave me the script. The process for Nishanchi started with me reading the script, and then he just left me and told me, you know, compose songs where you feel, you know, there should be songs in this film. So I've never got a brief like this in my life. Usually for films, you get, you know, you're told what to do, and, you know, we want a song here, and this is the kind of song we want, and here are the references. There were no references. And Anurag, that is really a testament to the, you know, the creative genius of Anurag Kashyap, because he really empowers creative people. Being, you know, incredibly creative person and a writer himself, he really knows how to, you know, manage and handle creative people. And I think 50% of the job is really that you let creative people play, because music, I mean, the thing with music is that the word which comes to your mind when you're doing music is you play music, you know, you don't, I mean, so your play is very important because you have to experiment and do different things. So for Nishanchi, my process was reading the script and then just, you know, I just kind of was simmering in the project, and I let like a month go by, and then finally I realized that I had to leave Bombay to compose this music. So I went off to Banaras and stayed there for some time, and I recorded I think 7 or 8 songs, which I came back and produced and presented to Anurag, and they loved most of them. And actually the songs that have turned up in the film most of them are actually first drafts. So, there was very little interference, and very lucky to have, worked on this project. It's a fantastic film. It's also a kind of a throwback to cinema from the 70s and 80s that we all grew up on.
I love when you said that so much of music is about the playing and the experimenting part is actually perhaps the most important in the creation process. Can you tell us a little bit about your own upcoming pop project? And also tell us a little bit, because for an artist like you who is doing so many different kinds of projects, so as you said earlier, you will work in advertisements, for example, but you will also work in films. How do you shape out and chalk out what it is that you want to create next?
So the project that I have that's on the anvil right now, which is going to be released early next year, is a project which is very close to my heart. It's my singer-songwriter avatar, which is the music that I grew up listening to when I was growing up. And the project is called Shauqeen, and it's a complete diametrically opposite to everything I've done so far. I'm singing and producing and composing it and playing most of the instruments on it, and the idea really is to kind of go back and create something which is very close to the kind of music that I grew up listening to, which is mostly the music from the 70s and 80s. So it's a bit of a throwback, but obviously with modern influences. So for me, this is kind of a coming home, and this is what's on the workbench right now, which is what I'm most excited about, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with the world.
Dhruv, thank you. Thank you for telling us what you're looking forward to, but also just for joining us, bringing us some of the way your mind works and just shedding a light on it. Okay, thank you for joining us here on the show. We're going to take you, our audience, now to something very different. We take you to the world of entertainment, Hollywood, Bollywood, and everything that's in between. This week's Entertainment Wrap has it all. We're going to tell you everything that's happened in the entertainment world. Titas brings you the lowdown for Shosha. Take a look.
Hello everyone, let's take a quick look at the week that was. At the 77th Primetime Emmy Awards, Adolescents and the studio emerged as the biggest winners. While Adolescents took home 6 Emmys, Seth Rogen's The Studio made a strong showing with 13 trophies. Adolescents' success included a historic milestone for its star, Owen Cooper. At just 15 years old, he became the youngest ever winner for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a limited or anthology series or movie. Other notable winners included The Pit with 3 trophies and Severance and Hacks, each winning 2 awards. Karan Johar recently moved the Delhi High Court to safeguard his personality rights, aiming to stop the unauthorized sale of merchandise bearing his name and likeness. His legal team contended that multiple websites and social media accounts have been exploiting his images and persona without permission for commercial gain. This comes after the Delhi High Court protected Aishwarya Rai Bachchan and Abhishek Bachchan's personality rights. They have prohibited websites and online sellers from commercially exploiting their identity. Sajid Nadiadwala's Nadiadwala Grandson Entertainment has filed a formal complaint against individuals accused of pressuring the production house with extortion, demands, and smear tactics targeting its films, filmmakers, and actors. According to the company, evidence such as call recordings revealed attempts to solicit money in return for withholding negative online content. The production house also claimed that its step should not be misconstrued as an attack on authentic critiques or independent commentators within the film industry. Robert Redford, the Hollywood golden boy who was an Oscar-winning director, liberal activist, founder of the Sundance Institute, and godfather for independent cinema, died on September 16th at the age of 89. He died peacefully in his sleep at his home in Utah. No cause of death was specified. As news of his passing resurfaced, celebrities like Leonardo DiCaprio, Jude Law, and Sylvester Stallone shared their grief. Back in Bollywood, Anurag Kashyap, Kareena Kapoor Khan, Anil Kapoor, and Priyanka Chopra Jonas remembered him on social media. Emily in Paris star Lily Collins' latest appearance at the New York Fashion Week sparked a wave of concern among her followers. Her noticeably slimmer frame dominated conversations online, with many fans calling her painfully thin and questioning if she is healthy. But this isn't the first time Lily's appearance has prompted conversations about her health. She had previously spoken about her struggles with an eating disorder. And in 2017, she starred in a film called To the Bone, where she portrayed a woman battling anorexia, a role informed by her own past. That's all for this week. I'll see you soon.
Okay, now we stay in the world of entertainment with what we're bringing you next. Aryan Khan's debut directorial on Netflix. It just came out, and in an exclusive chat with CNN News 18, Shosha's Titas Chaudhary spoke to Bobby Deol, Lakshya, Raghav Juyal and Anya Singh. They discuss working with Aryan Khan and Shah Rukh Khan. Sahid Bamba was also in this conversation. Take a look.
Hello everyone, welcome to News 18. I am Titas Chaudhary in conversation with team The Bads of Bollywood. Hello.
Hi.
How are you guys doing?
Very
Good,
well.
how are you?
All good, all
We are
good.
all excited and pumped up for our show on Netflix. Wow.
As you should be.
190 countries.
As you should be. I'll start with you because these people haven't seen Aryan when he was younger. I'm assuming you have.
I haven't seen him so much, but I have seen him in the years when he was growing up, and I think he's shaped up to be a really good man, young man. He's been brought up so well that, I mean, hats off to Gauri and Shahrukh, the way they brought up their kids. So it was such a pleasure working with him. You know, I think I can talk more about him as a director.
Yeah.
And I think he is one of his kind. He is a very, what do you call, dedicated. He's got so much conviction. He's got so much fire. And he has very strong belief in what he does, and he makes it happen.
But for the rest of you, this is of course Aryan's debut, project as a director. How is he as a director on set? Can he be a hard taskmaster too?
Yeah, he is, but the thing is, he is a taker. And we are the givers. I mean, in the sense, बहुत take लेता है वो. मगर उससे ये मुझे पता लगता है कि हम लोग अपने अंदर ही कुछ डिस्कवर करते हैं, एक्सप्लोर हो रहा होता है. क्योंकि बहुत कमाल का उसका विजन बहुत क्लियर है. उसको पता है उसे चाहिए क्या, और उसे पता है उसे इसके भी 25 वेरिएशंस चाहिए. You know, he has that thing. तो वो और उसका जो मैं बहुत बार बोला भी है, मैं फिर बोलता हूँ कि बहुत सारे डायरेक्टर्स जो है हर जगह बहुत समय लेते हैं अपनी वॉइस ढूंढने के लिए, कि क्या उनकी वॉइस क्या है. इसको पता है कि इसको पहले मतलब ही इज क्लियर कि उसे यही चाहिए और ये करके रहूंगा चाहे पूरी दुनिया इसके खिलाफ क्यों ना हो जाए. ये मेरा शो है.
Clarity.
Yes,
it's there.
लेना रो ये है भाई.
Lakshya, want to add something? Right.
I went in thinking कि काफी सीरियस शो होगा, काफी ग्रिम होंगी चीजें, सेंसिटिव होंगी, ऐसी होंगी वैसी होंगी, लेकिन अपने जो भी है एंग्स्ट को, पेन को, अपने जज्बे को पाल कर उसको कॉमेडी में दिखाना, उसको फन में दिखाना, ये बहुत बड़ी कला है.
Absolutely.
और सिर्फ ये नहीं कि मैं अपने ऊपर जोक बना रहा हूँ, सब ने जितने भी आपने शो के अंदर देखा, ऑल द कैमियोज जहाँ पे हैं, आमिर सर हैं, राजा मौली सर हैं, अपना रणवीर सिंह हैं, इतने सारे कैमियोज हैं, सब लोगों ने, करण सर हैं, सब लोगों ने अपना पूरा मजाक उड़वाया है, सब कुछ ये किया वो किया, और वो सिर्फ इसलिए किया ताकि लोग हंस पाए, ताकि लोग उन लोग को ये जो हम सोचते हैं ना कि वो वैसे होते होंगे, वो वैसे होते होंगे. सो he has done all of that.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
BJP's Prahlad Joshi, the Union Minister, has taken a jibe at the leader of the opposition, says Rahul Gandhi's new fairy tale is vote chori. After his failed attempt on his vote chori allegations, which was debunked and exposed, Rahul Gandhi has now chosen to not learn from earlier mistakes. The Election Commission of India has clearly denied his baseless claims, reaffirming that no votes can be deleted online after losing 20 plus elections on EVMs. Maybe it's not the machine, it's the Congress that's faulty. Strong words coming in from Prahlad Joshi, Union Minister. I'm joined by my colleague Payal Mehta on the broadcast to get more details, given the fact that the war of words only escalating after Rahul Gandhi's second presentation. Payal, over to you.
Ayushman, a very important point being made by Union Minister Prahlad Joshi, who is incidentally also from Karnataka. He hails from Dharwad. He is incidentally reminding Rahul Gandhi that 2 days back when the Congress, which had won the assembly seat in Malur in Karnataka, was disqualified by the High Court of Karnataka because of election malpractice and fresh counting of votes that has also been ordered. The real vote chore is the Congress party. That's the strong attack coming in. As far as Prahlad Joshi is concerned, remember, Prahlad Joshi is saying that Rahul Gandhi has not learnt a single lesson after having lost 20 plus elections, blaming it either on the EVMs or on anybody else. It is the Congress which is faulty and not anybody else. So stinging attack coming in from Prahlad Joshi, a union minister in the Modi government, a multiple time MP from Karnataka and somebody who's been Karnataka's voice for a very, very long time. So he's saying that Rahul Gandhi has yet again attention chori, and that's the reason he has not learned from his previous mistakes.
Right. Thank you, Payal, for getting us that piece of breaking news. So the war of words only escalating between the two sides after Rahul Gandhi's strong allegations of vote chori by the Election Commission. BJP's Prahlad Joshi, the union minister, has taken a jibe at the leader of the opposition, says Rahul Gandhi's new fairy tale is vote chori. After his failed attempt on his vote chori allegations, which was debunked and exposed, Rahul Gandhi has now chosen to not learn from earlier mistakes. The Election Commission of India has clearly denied his baseless claims, reaffirming that no votes can be deleted online after losing 20 plus elections on EVMs.
Welcome back to the Breakfast Club. Next we take you to an interview from a cement court in Tamil Nadu to a world champion in China. Anand Kumar's golden run has inspired a nation, and we want to bring you his journey, his dreams, and what's next for India's speed skating superstar. Take a look.
India has a brand new world champion, and it has come from a sport a few expected. And at just 22, Anand Kumar has etched his name in the history as India's first ever world champion in speed skating. Anand joins us at CNN News 18 to talk about his historic achievement and what lies ahead. Anand, welcome to CNN News 18. You have made history by becoming India's first world champion in skating. How does it feel to have that title, world champion, attached to your name?
It feels really amazing. It was definitely a dream of mine, and I'm really grateful that I was able to become world champion.
Fantastic. And Anand, Prime Minister Modi also personally congratulated you, called your achievement inspirational. What did receiving recognition from PM Modi personally mean to you?
Considering that skating is not an Olympic sport, we never received such recognition from, the Prime Minister or be it. So I think it feels really amazing to know that the sport is finally getting the sort of recognition that it deserves, be it the Prime Minister or a lot of the government officials. So I think it's really great.
Great. And PM also mentioned that your accomplishment will inspire countless youngsters. Do you feel now the pressure, responsibility of that comes with being India's, first ever world champion?
No, I don't feel the pressure, but I feel happy that I get to inspire a lot of young skaters in India.
And when you called home after winning gold, what was that first thing you said to your family? And what were the emotions also, immediately after when you crossed the line, you realized?
I think immediately after the line, it was just pure excitement and joy. I was really happy, and all my teammates who were with me at that time were really happy. And also when I called home, my mom, dad, sister, everyone were really happy. It's hard to explain in words, but yeah, it was amazing.
Fantastic. You've been a junior world champion, the silver in the world championship, Asian Games bronze, you bronze also in this event, in this tournament earlier. Now the gold. It's been incredible. Can you just take me back? What are your earliest memories of skating? How that passion got ignited in you? Just your early start to the career itself.
So actually, I started skating next to my home. There was a cement badminton court, and that's where I started skating. I started skating because my sister used to skate, so that's how I got started. And slowly, when I kept skating, I started competing in district level, state level, national level, and that's how I started falling in love with the sport. And I think a major turning point was when I was 15 years old and I made the Indian team for the first time. I think that motivated me a lot. And then, as you said, the 2021 Junior World Championships where I won silver. Yeah, I think that's when I started considering, that to take skating professionally.
After this now.
Okay. So yeah, I still have 2 more races left here at the World Championships. And also, I want to come back and win the 1000 meters again next year at the 2026 World Championships. And maybe the 2027 Asian Championships might be held in India. And hopefully, if that happens, that's something I really look forward to.
Fantastic. And you said it's not an Olympic sport yet. Something of that sort you probably would be dreaming now as well?
Yeah, I wish our sport was included in the Olympics. That's definitely a dream of every athlete. And I hope it happens.
I hope it happens. And once again, Anand, thank you very much for joining us. You are a young champion with miles to go and a nation behind you. Thank you for speaking with us once again, and congratulations on making in history for Team India. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move now from a history maker to something that's got everyone, not just tech enthusiasts, excited. iPhone 17. The sale of it has started in India from this morning. New models are available across different stores. Now, buyers can get their hands on the latest iPhones. What we're looking at right now is 4 models: iPhone 17, iPhone Air, iPhone 17 Pro, and iPhone 17 Pro Max. Fast charging, better camera, smarter AI. These are some of the promises on these new models. Here are the reactions. Buyers coming in right now from Mumbai and Delhi. This is what we have for you. Take a look.
डिज़ाइन चेंज हुआ, कलर मेरे पसंद का है, तो तभी मेरा मन कर रहा कि ले लिया जाए, क्योंकि 15 Pro Max था मेरे पास लास्ट, उसके मुकाबले काफ़ी अच्छा अपग्रेड लगा मेरे को। कैमरे काफ़ी अपग्रेडेड है और प्रोसेसर चेंज है, बैटरी भी थोड़ी बढ़ाई है, तो तभी मन कर रहा कि ले लेते हैं। देखते हैं अभी आज मिलेगा या नहीं।
लॉन्च होने के बाद आप लोग लाइन में लगे हुए हैं रात से, कहाँ से आए हैं?
गुड़गांव से।
गुड़गांव से। तो क्या और क्या खास बात है एप्पल 17 में?
एप्पल 17 में जैसे कि मैंने आपको बताया, कैमरा काफ़ी अच्छा है इस बार, परफॉर्मेंस हर बार बेटर पे बेटर करे जा रहे हैं। परफॉर्मेंस चिप अच्छे होने से तो बैटरी भी काफ़ी एफिशिएंट है। मैं बड़ा हार्डकोर यूज़र हूँ, तो मेरे लिए इट मेक सेंस प्रो मैक्स लेने के लिए।
क्या नाम है आपका?
राज नाम है सर।
कहाँ से आए हैं आप?
नोएडा सेक्टर 58।
कब से लाइन में लगे हुए हैं?
लाइन में हम लगे हैं करीबन रात 12 बजे से।
और कितना क्रेज है और एप्पल 17 को लेने के लिए?
बहुत क्रेज है, शौक है। ऑरेंज कलर नया आया है तो वही लेना है। हाँ जी।
और कितनी कीमत है?
So you've seen the big arc lights here, the flashy cameras, but beyond all of this, journalism is all about hard work. So if you have it in you to make a name for yourself in this hyper-competitive industry, then let CNN News 18 be your platform.
Brought to you by... This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
BJP's Prahlad Joshi, the Union Minister, has taken a jibe at the leader of the opposition, says Rahul Gandhi's new fairy tale is vote chori. After his failed attempt on his vote chori allegations, which was debunked and exposed, Rahul Gandhi has now chosen to not learn from earlier mistakes. The Election Commission of India has clearly denied his baseless claims, reaffirming that no votes can be deleted online after losing 20 plus elections on EVMs. Maybe it's not the machine, it's the Congress that's faulty. Strong words coming in from Prahlad Joshi, Union Minister. I'm joined by my colleague Payal Mehta on the broadcast to get more details, given the fact that the war of words only escalating after Rahul Gandhi's second presentation. Payal, over to you.
Ayushman, a very important point being made by Union Minister Prahlad Joshi, who is incidentally also from Karnataka. He hails from Dharwad. He is incidentally reminding Rahul Gandhi that 2 days back, when the Congress, which had won the assembly seat in Malur in Karnataka, was disqualified by the High Court of Karnataka because of election malpractice and fresh counting of votes that has also been ordered. The real vote chore is the Congress party. That's the strong attack coming in. As far as Prahlad Joshi is concerned, remember, Prahlad Joshi is saying that Rahul Gandhi has not learnt a single lesson after having lost 20 plus elections, blaming it either on the EVMs or on anybody else. It is the Congress which is faulty and not anybody else. So stinging attack coming in from Prahlad Joshi, a union minister in the Modi government, a multiple time MP from Karnataka and somebody who's been Karnataka's voice for a very, very long time. So he's saying that Rahul Gandhi has yet again attention chori, and that's the reason he has not learned from his previous mistakes.
Right. Thank you, Payal, for getting us that piece of breaking news. So the war of words only escalating between the two sides after Rahul Gandhi's strong allegations of vote chori by the Election Commission. BJP's Prahlad Joshi, the Union Minister, has taken a jibe at the leader of the opposition, says Rahul Gandhi's new fairy tale is vote chori. After his failed attempt on his vote chori allegations, which was debunked and exposed, Rahul Gandhi has now chosen to not learn from earlier mistakes.
Hello, you're watching the Breaking News Show on CNN News 18. My name is Toya Singh, and this Friday we're going to walk you through all of the country's top breaking news stories. Let's take a look very quickly first at all of the headlines, starting you off with developments taking place right here in the country. After Rahul Gandhi taps Gen Z into making changes across the country in a statement, BJP gives a fierce counter, says Gen Zs are against dynastic systems and corruption. Be ready to leave the country. This is their response pointed at the Congress. And you remember yesterday Rahul Gandhi accused the CEC and the poll panel of protecting vote thieves. The Election Commission has now said the information that they're talking about was given 2 years ago. And the ICC is going to be taking action against the Pakistan Cricket Board for multiple violations, including recording the Andy Pycroft video. And in Uttar Pradesh, where we told you the people responsible for the shootout outside Disha Patani, the actor's house in Uttar Pradesh, had been killed in an encounter. 2 shooters remain on the run. Investigators reveal more details. They say that shooters could be more than earlier assumed. And in Andhra Pradesh, the Andhra Minister Nara Lokesh slams DK Shivkumar over a blackmail jibe at the Blackbuck CEO, says treat people with dignity. And internationally, the US President Donald Trump has called India a friend in a recent statement. He's praised the Prime Minister. And a powerful 7.8 magnitude earthquake shook Russia's Far East region. Tsunami warnings have been issued. All right, first we start the day with a set of statements that came in through the day yesterday. Congress MP, Leader of Opposition, Rahul Gandhi, after the second round of his campaign against what he said is vote theft that is taking place in Karnataka, he posted on social media in the evening that it was the students, the youth and the Gen Z of India that will save the constitution, protect democracy and stop vote theft. He said he stands firmly with them. But his use of the phrase Gen Z and its relation to the recent protests we saw take place in Nepal. This has caused the BJP seemingly to take offense. In a sharp response, the BJP's hit back at the Congress. They've stated that Gen Z firmly opposes dynasty politics, corruption and ideological ambiguity. They value, and he's also said that these are all values that the Congress represents. So that's the back and forth that we're seeing take place, specifically between the Congress's Rahul Gandhi and then this response you have coming in from Nishikant Dubey. But what this reflects, the larger set of statements, obviously the entire press conference that we watched Rahul Gandhi lead yesterday, in which he led a crusade once again against the CEC, saying that there was unfair electoral vote processes taking place. This we've seen take place for the second time. Let's go over to our reporters to get an overview first of this story. Let's go over to Pallavi to understand more. Pallavi, in his statement yesterday, Rahul Gandhi had said, Desh ke yuva, Desh ke students, Desh ki Gen Z. He has said these are the people who are going to save our constitution. India's students, India's Gen Z. This counter that's come from the BJP, how are Congress insiders seeing it, and how are they in general seeing the BJP response in the last few days?
Well, Toya, I mean, he of course did not mention Nepal, but we know Gen Z is now come to be synonymous with what happened in Nepal. And though it brought out Satta Parivartan, though there was a political change which has taken place, which was being lauded as a corruption-free, fully democratic government, but Toya, there's a worrying sign there. And the worrying sign was that Gen Z change came at the cost of